Welcome to our charity block, which is called Old Maids Puzzle, for our chosen charity for Wicklow Patchwork Group this year, which is Cali, Caring and Learning in Ireland, and they are based, as you know, in our centre in Newtown Kennedy, so it's great that they are our chosen charity for this year. We have to see here 2 blocks, and this block is called Old Maids Puzzle. You can see that it's made up of half square triangles and squares. So it's a really lovely block, comes together very nicely, and I'm sure with all the members participating, we'll have lovely, colourful blocks to put into a wonderfully colourful quilt for our charity. So what do you need? Take 2 fat quarters with good contrast between them and cut 2 4-inch strips from each fabric. You can layer them up as I have here. Straighten your edges, and cut 2 daisies, 2 4-inch strips. So we'll just cut one here now. I have already some blocks cut, so that's all I have left from my fat quarters. Straighten up your other edge because we're going to now cross cut. So remember, you have 4 strips, 2 of each colour, cut from your fat quarter, and from that you will get 2 blocks. Cross cut again into 4-inch squares, and you will need 6 4-inch squares altogether. So from each cut of your your fat quarter, you will have sufficient for your 6 4-inch squares. You'll get 2 from this, and you can have another 2 from the scraps at the end. You will also need, from your leftover fabric, you will also get 3 of each colour, 3.5-inch squares. So 3 of colour A and 3 of colour B, and just set those aside for the moment. When you have all of your squares cut, we're now going to make our half square triangles. So take your 4-inch squares, lay one on top of the other of each colour, so you get a nice square, line them up just nicely, and you're going to mark a pencil line from one diagonal corner to the other, and do this with all 6 sets. You'll have 6 sets of your coordinating fabrics. Do that with all of them. Then sew a 1/4-inch seam either side of that pencil line. Shorten your stitch to about 2, and that will keep your seams nice and steady and will secure the stitching. You can chain piece those if you're comfortable doing that. When you have those chain pieced or sewn together, you separate them into 2 triangles, separate those squares into 2 triangles along the drawn line, and you do that for all of your squares. Take it then to your iron and open out to the dark side. Press that out, and with the iron. So you're going to do that for all of your, so you're going to have 12 of these all together. These then need to be squared up. So take my square up ruler with a diagonal line on it. This one is clearly marked, and I'm going to lay that on the diagonal line, and there'll be very, very little to trim off on this particular one, but I want to make sure I have a nice square up line there. Hold there, and you'll literally get so. Now you have nice square. Turn your block. Lay your ruler on again, and this time make sure the lines that you have already cut, trimmed, are on your 3.5-inch mark. Your diagonal line is on your diagonal, holding firmly in place, and just trim off, and you'll see that it's literally slivers that you're trimming. So you do need to be quite careful that you keep your 1/4-inch seam very accurate. So check that before you begin, because if you don't have the 3.5-inch square, your block is going to be it's going to be off, and they're not going to work in the quilt. So when we have all of our squares all squared up, we're ready then to do a layout. Now at this stage you're going to have 12 sets of 12 squares like this, triangles, 12 sets, and you also have your 3.5 inch squares of each colour, and this is how you're going to get your 2 blocks. So we'll start with one colour, colour A here, and I'm just going to lay that out in a diagonal line just like that. Where's my little block? You're going to check your orientation as you lay out your block. I'm going to use this for reference. And it is important to lay it out so that you see. So with the darker fabric, I lay out like this, and I'm watching the orientation of those triangles, those half square triangles, so that I get the right layout. And that's my layout with my light and dark colour there. Okay, now I'm going to join those rows. So that's row 1, row 2 and row 3. Again, carefully using your 1/4 inch seam, join those together. The top row, press the seams to the left. The middle row, press the seams to the right. And your bottom row, press the seams to the left. Okay, and that will ensure that when you're joining the rows 1 to 2 and 3 onto the end there, that the seams will nest at the back. Sorry, that's the wrong one. That's this one. So just like this here. You see here? So the seams are lying one direction, and that's if I turn this way. Now it's right. So the seams are lying this way. The second row, they're going in the opposite direction, and so on. Then when you join the rows, press the seams in one direction, please. Okay? Press the seams in one direction, and this will allow us, when we're joining all the blocks, to nest them together. When your block is finished, it should measure 9.5 inches. Now we'll square up after, we can square up any little anomalies, but there must be 9.5 inches in order that the quilt and the blocks will work. So thank you very much for taking part in our quilt charity drive for Cali in 2025. We look forward to collecting some blocks, hopefully at the May meeting, but most definitely by the June meeting. Thank you again for taking part in Wicklow Patchwork Group Charity Group Quilt for 2025.